The Trump administration is now so triggered by the mere mention that women exist that Pete Hegseth recently announced he was canceling the Women, Peace, and Security program, apparently unaware that the program was touted by Donald Trump himself as one of the biggest accomplishments of his first term as president after he signed it into law in 2017 via legislation that was co-sponsored by both Marco Rubio and Kristi Noem, both currently members of Trump's cabinet. Last week, Pete Hegseth tweeted, "This morning, I proudly ended the Women, Peace, and Security program inside the Department of Defense and claimed that it was a United Nations program pushed by feminists and left-wing activists." You know, all those feminists and left-wing activists that famously make up the Trump administration. And look, this is obviously very stupid, and it's also a very excellent example of how the Trump administration is literally just arbitrarily ending programs and firing people simply because the program mentions the existence of women or queer folk or people of color or disabled people. But ending the WPS is also incredibly dangerous, and ending the program would do the exact opposite of what Pete Hegseth is claiming. It would put our troops and the world at a higher danger. Exactly why the WPS is so important was highlighted by Lieutenant General Mark Hertling in the Bulwark recently. When he was a commander during the surge in Iraq, there was a massive uptick in the number of suicide vest bombings being carried out by women and girls. And for a long time, both Iraqi and American troops could not figure out how they could stop this, especially given that in Iraqi culture, male police officers are not allowed to search women and girls because of modesty laws. And so was taking advantage of this by fitting out women and girls with these vests and sending them into crowded places, knowing that they could not get stopped and searched because there were not female officers to do the search. It was only once a lower level female soldier suggested to the lieutenant general that they hold a women's conference for women in the region and talk to them about how to address the issue that they were able to make headway. It was through the chain of events set into progress by holding that women's conference that they were able to figure out that the majority of the women being fit with these vests were the former teen brides of fighters who had been forced to marry these men against their will. And after their husbands were killed in fighting, these women were told there was nothing left for them in this world. No food, no relationships, no money, nothing. They were literally told, you no longer have a place in society. Your only remaining thing left to do is to wear this vest and kill yourself, taking out as many innocent people as possible when you do. Because they had that conference, they were able to figure out what social manipulation was being used against these women, these victims. And as a result, they were able to nearly eliminate the use of female suicide bombs in the region. Had they not had the women's conference and involved women in the discussions around how to address this issue, more innocent Iraqis would have been killed, more victims of abuse by Al-Qaeda would have been killed, and more U.S. troops would have been killed. And while that particular scenario happened before WPS was signed into law in 2017, that is the exact type of scenario that WPS is designed to address. But Pete Hegseth wants to get rid of it because anything with women in the title must obviously not be good for the military. But that isn't surprising coming from a man who has made it very clear throughout his entire career, way before he even became Secretary of Defense, that he thinks that women have no place on the front lines. And apparently, he is so committed to that ideology that he's willing to both dismantle the Trump administration's own policy accomplishments and make American troops less safe in the process.